Am I for real filming right now? Yes! Hey guys, welcome back to my channel. It has been so long. I've missed you guys so much, and just filming, this is like my favorite thing to do. Before we go any further, I'm pretty sure some of you guys clicked on this video like, did she for real fight a pregnant girl? And the answer is yes. But before y'all start trolling in my comments, hear the story first. There's a reason. And even if you think that there is no reason in the world, just, y'all came here to hear a story, listen to my story before y'all, come at me sideways. Also, before we get into the video, I just wanted to say a huge thank you to all of you guys that tuned into my last storytime video. As of lately, it has blown up. It has gotten over 20,000 views, like over 500 likes, and I can't thank you guys enough. And the request to do more story times was overwhelming. So I thank you guys so much, and let's get into it. For those of you guys who don't know, I am originally from Dallas, Texas, and I am now here in Denver, Colorado. All of a sudden, my mom woke up one day and was like, you know what, I don't want to be here anymore, we're gonna move. By this time, my brother was already old enough to move out, and so he didn't come with us. It was just me and my mom. And at this time, I was 13 years old, and we moved here in the summer, that summer. And so I had to start my 8th grade year here. So kindergarten through 7th grade, I was in Texas, and then I came here. I had to go into 8th grade, okay? My mom enrolled me into a new school. It was really, really intimidating for me. I was really nervous. Not only was I in a new school, I was in a whole new state. No friends, no family, just me. So I was very nervous, and to be completely honest, I hated being here. Like, I couldn't stand it. I was like crying to my mom, telling her that I didn't want to be here. And so my mom made a deal and was like, look, I know that we're in a new place. It's just me and you. It's scary. I understand. Give it your best shot for a year. And if after a year you're still not feeling it, we'll move back to Texas. So I was like, fine, because I hate it here, so we're going to move back. So my mom enrolled me into middle school, and when we were looking around the school before she enrolled me, there were like posters on the walls in the hallways about cheerleading tryouts, and I was by no means a cheerleader. I'd never been a cheerleader before, so for some reason my mom was like, you should try out. And I was like, so I tried out. Now keep in mind, this is a middle school squad. It wasn't like freaking acrobatics. It was just like, as long as you were flexible and you could hold a beat, you were pretty good to go. So somehow I made the cheerleading squad. To be completely honest with you, I don't even remember our mascot. God, I'm a horrible person. So I made the cheerleading squad, and that truly is where I kind of found myself and my wings, and I just kind of started coming into my own. Because before in Texas, I was very, very shy. I was very quiet, go figure. I read a lot. I was an extremely nerdy introvert kid. So for me to even be on a cheerleading squad around other girls was out of the norm for me, and I was very nervous and I was very intimidated. My coach, her name was Betty. I'm gonna say her real name because this story isn't about her, but her name was Betty, and she was a high school student, so we all looked up to her. I want to say she was like 16 years old. Anyways, we all had a sleepover at Betty's house, who was our captain, and or she was our coach, and we all had a sleepover before one of our big games the next day. And little did I know, they actually had a sleepover to give me a makeover, okay? Like, that's how much help I needed. Like, my friends were like, girl, no, like, we need to do something. It's so funny because my first name is not Nikki or Nicole. My middle name is Nicole. So my coach came up to me and was like, do you go by any other names? Like something a little bit easier to remember, because my first name is just a little bit out of the ordinary, and I'm not about to go there and tell y'all. Anyways, and she was the one that asked me, what's your middle name? And I told her Nicole. And so she was like, we're gonna start calling you Nikki. So they were the first people to start calling me Nikki, and then after that it just kind of stuck, and I went forward, and I've always been Nikki ever since. They cut my hair, but like in a cute little style. They put makeup on me. They like taught me how to dress, because I was really tomboyish and really frumpy. Kind of like you know, gave your girl a makeover, right? So I came back to school and a lot of people noticed, and I was getting a lot of compliments, and I was kind of like, you know, coming out of my shell a little bit. And I had a friend, and we'll call her Lisa. And she was like one of my really good friends from the beginning, like from before I even, you know, got my makeover and before I even became Nikki. She was one of my really good friends, and it was lunch. It was lunchtime, and we were in the lunch line. And it was a game day. So on game day, we wore our little cheerleading outfits. And I was like looking how cute. I thought I looked how cute, my little cheerleading outfit. And I was standing next to my friend in the lunch line, and this girl came up out of nowhere. She was like, probably like my height, you know, really petite girl. But you could tell that she was really, really aggressive. And she, like, people were afraid of her for some reason. Like, she had a rap sheet already of fighting, and so people were always like, oh, don't mess with her. I never met her before. I never had any classes with her. I'd never seen her, but she came into the lunchroom like a freaking bat out of hell, and the first person that she came to was my friend, and my friend was in front of me in the line. And so this girl out of nowhere, we'll call her Kayla. And so Kayla came out of nowhere and beelined it to my friend, and I was like, who is she? So I was like, all right, well, this doesn't involve me, I'm just gonna stay out of it. Well, she was very aggressive, and she was very like one of these, right? And so she was talking to my friend, and I can't for the life of me remember what she was saying. All I remember is that she was yelling at my friend about doing something, and she was really mad. And so she was cussing my friend out. And when she was cussing, she was like doing one of these, and she was kind of like backing up, like, girl, you don't know me, blah 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 blah. And so when she backed up, she stepped on my foot. Okay, she stepped on my foot. So I responded with, hey, watch where you're going. Okay, so she like looked back, and she was like, what the fuck did you just say? And I was like, whoa, right? So I had just like got my wings and I was just like, I'm in a new school, like this is the first person that's coming at me sideways, so I'm not going to be a punk. So I told her, I was like, I said, watch where you're going, you just stepped on me. And she was like, oh, we got a problem? And I was like, well, if you want one, we can have one, yeah. Now, keep in mind, I'm 13, okay? I'm 13, she's 13. So she was like, you don't know who you messing with. She was like, I'll see you later. And I was like, okay, whatever. Next thing I know, we had a officer on the premises every day, and his name was Officer Pacheco. And Officer Pacheco was super cool. Like, he would always stay after class with us, make sure us girls got home okay, made sure that like nobody was coming into our, because like sometimes little boys would try to come into our practice and like try to be like all cochino and nasty and stuff. So Officer Pacheco was super, super cool. And next thing I know, Officer Pacheco comes into the cafeteria. I'm sitting with my friend, and he was like, can I see you in my office? And I was like, yeah, fine. You know, I never had been in trouble before, so I was like, okay. Well, we go into his office, and guess who's in there? Kayla. Because she went in there and told him. She told on me. So he brought us into the office, and I just looked at her like, really? I thought you were hard, girl. I thought you were hard. And so Officer Pacheco made me sit down next to her, and he was like, you know, Kayla came to me and told me that you were really aggressive with her. Sorry, I see like little fuzzies. Kayla told me that you were really aggressive with her, and we have a no violence policy here at this school, and so whatever you guys have, y'all need to squash it now, because if y'all fight, both of you guys are going to get suspended. And I was like, you know, I don't have a problem. She accidentally stepped on my foot. All I said was to watch where she was going. She decided to take it to the next level. She started cussing me out. So Officer Pacheco was like, look, I don't care. Y'all need to squash it and shake hands like right now and squash it. And I was like, okay. So we shook hands. So I'm not going to lie. I left his office like kind of smirking and laughing. And when I went back into the cafeteria, you know, my friends were like, what happened? Like, where'd you go? Like, why did Officer Pacheco come get you? And so I told them, I was like, Kayla told them that I was starting shit with her, and I wasn't. So everybody started clowning her, and they were like, oh, she's a snitch, she told, blah, blah, blah. And that wasn't my intention, that's just what happened. so that day I had, you know, the game, and I did my cheerleading or whatever. The next day we came to school, and we had, the middle school that I went to, they had uniforms, so you could only wear white, red, or blue, and then khaki or navy pants. And so my mom, you know, after I started coming home and my style had changed, my mom was really proud of me for like growing into my own finally. So she bought me this really cute shirt, and it was like white, long sleeve, and it had silver trimming, and I had like silver jewelry on. Girl, I was doing it, right? And it was on a Friday. So I went to school, and everything was fine, and I kind of started gaining some popularity because I was like one of the only people that stood up to that Kayla girl. Well, I don't know if word got back to her and like people were making fun of her for telling Officer Pacheco, but the day went on, everything was fine, and then I had cheerleading practice after school. And so I, you know, stayed after school, it was fine. And then my friend had like tutoring or something, and she lived right by my house. So we would meet up because I hated walking by myself. And so we met up, and then we would walk home together. Well, there was like the school, and then a park, and then my house. So there was a park between my school and my house. So me and my friend started walking, and we're passing the park. And I look over, and Kayla and two other girls are standing at the park. And Kayla came, and I'm across the street. Kayla came to the edge of the curb and like kind of like looked at me like what are you gonna do? Like, you're gonna come over? And you know, to be completely honest, you know, mama didn't raise no punk. Like, I wasn't about to be punked. And I'm a big believer in you teach people how to treat you. And I was a new girl, and I wasn't about to let that go and like people think that I'm just some punk that you can just come up to and say whatever you want to. So I crossed the street, and I was like, all right. So I told my friend, I was like, you coming? Now that I think back, my friend was like so shitty because she was like, no, I gotta get home. And she left. She left me there with 3 girls at the park. But I was like, all right. So not gonna lie, I was really nervous. I like felt like I was gonna throw up. I was 13, okay? Before, back home, I would like tussle and wrestle with the girls in my neighborhood, but it was never like a malicious fight ever. And so I knew how to fight. I grew up with boys, but I never had this type of interaction, so I was nervous, okay? So I went over there, but I kept like a straight face. I was like, what, bitch, what? So I shit you not, we sat there, and you know, we're both 13-year-old girls. We don't know what the hell we're doing. We don't even know where we're mad. We for real sat there for, I shit you not, like 10 minutes arguing and cussing back and forth at each other because both of us, you could tell both of us were kind of nervous. But she had 2 of her girls there. I think they were like her cousins, I don't know, but she basically had an audience. And then we had in that park, they were having soccer practice, so there were soccer boys there, and you know, there was like an audience, right? And neither one of us wanted to look stupid. I want to say that she pushed me first just because my mom was very adamant about me not getting in trouble, and my mom was really like, I was scared of my mom, you know, I'm not gonna lie. My mom was very direct and very hard and very strict, and my mom always said, you better not be going out there starting fights, but if someone else starts it, you better finish it, because if you come home beat up, you're gonna have me to deal with. I'm not kidding. So I was scared of my mom, so I was like, all right, I'm not gonna hit her first. So I want to say that she pushed me first. Either way, we ended up fighting, okay? Now, we weren't like throwing full-on punches because we're 13, so it was a lot of tussling and like rolling around and, you know, pulling hair, and you know, we threw a few punches here and there. Now I remember she came prepared, okay? I was blindsided. I didn't know I was gonna end up fighting, but she came prepared, and she had these big rings on, and she caught me right in the forehead right here, and I had like a little cut right there, right? And then I caught her in the mouth, and she had a little cut right here. But nothing like dramatic. Like, I'm not going to sit here and lie to y'all and be like, yeah, I whooped her ass. Like, we both got in some really good hits, and by the end of it, you know, we were still standing up. During the fight, I don't know how, but I ended up on top of her. I have no idea how I did it. I'm not going to sit here and be like, yeah, because I know how to fight. I just think it was luck. I don't know. But me being 13, I honestly didn't have it in my heart to start punching her in the face. Like, it felt bad. Like, it just felt bad to punch someone in the face. Like, you really have to be mad. And so I just remember my brother teaching me that you could pin someone down, like, to stop them from hitting you if you got on top of them and you put your knees on their arms, right? And she was laying there. So instead of punching her, because I had the option, I remember, like, I was over her and I was like, no, I just want this to end. So I put one of her arms under one of my knees, and then I was trying to grab her other arm and put my other knee on it. So because I was kind of leaning one way while I was trying to pin her down, she was able to kind of like roll me off of her, right? Well, she got really embarrassed that I even got on top of her, because like all the boys were surrounding us and they were like, ooh, right? So when that happened, as soon as she rolled me off of her, I just felt this hand grab me off the ground, and it's the soccer coach who had been there the whole time watching, and finally he decided to step in, pulled us off of each other, and we were fine. Like, we were both fine. We both got in some good hits. And that was it. She was really upset that I had gotten on top of her right at the tail end. So he was like, both y'all go home. I'm telling the principal, blah, blah, blah. So I was like, shit, man. So I grabbed my stuff, because I threw like all of my backpack, like everything on the grass. I even took my belt off, like, girl. So I grabbed all my stuff and I went home. Well, I was really nervous and really upset. Okay, 1, my adrenaline was pumping. 2, I knew that I was going to be in so much trouble, because my mom, like, at that time I didn't have a cell phone. Like, I feel so old talking about it. But I didn't have a cell phone, and we had a landline. And my mom had everything timed, like, accurately. She knew how long it took me to walk from my school to home. And when she called, she only called twice. And if I didn't pick up, I was gonna get it when she got home. So I knew that I was like an hour late. So I knew that my mom was already fuming. Maybe she was like already on her way to come whoop my ass. So I was like, oh my God. So I ran home and I called my mom. And my mom was like, the first thing that came out of her mouth was, where the hell have you been? And this was the first time that I ever cussed in front of my mom. And I just went off, and I was like, this bitch at school, they were trying to jump me, and I got into a fight, and blah, 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 blah. And like, my mom, for the first time, was silent, and she just let me go off, right? And she was like, are you okay? And I said, yeah. And she goes, did you start it? And I said, no, I didn't. And she was like, I'm on my way. So when she said that, I was so nervous. Like, I was like, oh shit, like, I'm gonna get my ass whooped. Like, my mom's mad. Well, my mom came home and she was like, are you okay? And I said, yeah. She saw that little mark right here that I got from one of her rings, and she was like, that bitch wore rings. And I was like, yeah. And so my mom was actually really cool about it. So she was like, we're going to your school. And I was like, why? I don't want to go. Like, they're going to suspend me. The soccer coach was there. He saw everything. And my mom was like, my issue is with that coach, because he saw everything happen and he let y'all fight. And he's a grown-ass man. So I'm going to go over there. I'm going to talk to the principal. Now, the principal, he and I were like this, okay? Because the principal was really nice. He used to take all of us cheerleaders to Starbucks, go get coffee. He was really, really nice. And to be completely honest, I used to be like teacher's pet. I was always really nice to my teachers. I was always like a really good student. And my principal knew that. So when we got there, he was really shocked that I had even been involved in a fight. So I was like expecting to be suspended or get in some kind of trouble, but I was honest with him and I was like, look, I'm not looking for trouble. Like, I'm new here, and he knew Kayla, because like I said, she had a rap sheet before. She used to get in trouble all the time and everybody knew it. So he was like, you know, he said, as long as you didn't start the fight, he was like, you know, I think that you were just defending yourself. Don't worry about it. I will deal with Kayla. And he told my mom, he was like, I will deal with that teacher, because that was inappropriate. So he sent me home. I didn't get no suspension. I didn't get no detention. I didn't get a slap on the wrist. I didn't get nothing. Monday came around and I was like, damn, I'm going to see Kayla. So by Monday, okay, news travels fast. Everybody knew. Everybody found out that we had fought. Everybody wanted to hear. Now, there were some girls that were like her friends that came up to me and they were talking shit and they were like cussing, and I was like, whatever, like it is what it is. We fought. It's over. Like, I just want to move on. And then Kayla wasn't there. Kayla didn't come to school. So I was like, maybe she got suspended. But then everybody was like, how come she got suspended and you didn't? And so I was like, I don't know. By that Friday, everybody had forgotten about it. I had forgotten about it. Nobody was talking about it. Whatever. Kayla never came back to school. She did not come back. I didn't see her. Nobody had heard from her. So then, like, the general consensus was that I had scared her off. I, like, immediately became popular because they were like, oh shit, you whooped Kayla's ass, blah, blah, blah. And, like, to be honest, I was really honest. I was like, I didn't beat her ass. Like, I didn't beat her like that. Like, you know, I'm not going to take responsibility and say that I did something that I didn't. So, anyways, the school year went on. Kayla never came back to school. Then, the last week of school was there, and it was literally the last day of school before summer break. And I had a gym locker, and then I had my main locker, right? So, it was the last day. I was saying bye to all my friends. I went and emptied out my gym locker, and then I went to the hallway and started emptying out my regular locker. Well, I was emptying, and my locker was in the main hallway where, like, all the offices were and stuff. So I was emptying out my locker, and out the corner of my eye, I just see this big girl, right? And I was like, oh, dang, she's big. And just, you know, out of nowhere. And then I kind of looked, and for some reason, she looked really familiar, this girl. And she was standing by the office, and I was like looking like, why does she look so familiar? And while I was kind of like looking, all of a sudden she looks at me, she was like, what the fuck are you looking at? And I was like, oh shit, that's Kayla. Because I was like mad that she was coming at me like that again, I was like, you fat ass. And she goes, I'm not fat, I'm pregnant. "13-year-old said what?" Like, she was like 7-8 months pregnant. Like, she was big, right? Like, she was about to pop. She was like cussing me out. Her finger was going everywhere. And she was like, yeah, I was pregnant when we fought. She was like, so if anything's wrong with my baby, it's going to be your fault. And I was like, what the hell? So I was like, why were you over there starting shit if you knew that you were pregnant? I was like, we were 13 years old. How was I supposed to know that you were pregnant? And she was like, well, either way. She was like, that's all right. She was like, we're going to have a round 2 after I have my baby. Like, that's the kind of girl that she was. Like, it wasn't even a big deal to her. She wasn't worried about the health of her child. Like, I had no clue. Keep in mind, this fight happened when we were 13 years old. The possibility of my opponent being pregnant was out of the realm of possibilities for me because we were so young. Now, I'm not saying girls don't get pregnant that young, but it was just out of the norm for me, and it definitely wasn't something that I was like considering or thought about before I fought this hoe. And usually, if a girl knows that she's pregnant, she doesn't pop off at the mouth and start getting into fights. So I went home that day and I felt really, really bad, and I felt really guilty. Even though I didn't know, there was no way for me to know that she was pregnant. It broke my heart because I was on top of her for a minute, and I was like bouncing on her, and we were punching each other, and she was pregnant. Like, I couldn't believe it. I felt so bad. I was like, but then I really, like, how was I supposed to know? Like, we were 13-year-old kids. Like, how was I supposed to know that your funky ass was pregnant? That's my story of fighting with the pregnant girl. I had no clue. I had no idea. Of course, she wasn't showing at that time. She was really early on in her pregnancy. And like, my thing is that if you are pregnant, or if you think that you might be pregnant, don't start getting into fights. Don't start fights, because at the end of the day, it doesn't matter how small that fetus is. You could still potentially harm it in its development. So don't do that. Like, if you know that you're pregnant or you might be pregnant, you know, take it slow, and don't be popping off at the mouth and getting yourself into trouble and getting yourself into fights. Because all I said was watch where you're going. And I felt like I had the right to, because she stepped on my foot. And then it turned into this whole thing, and she knew she was pregnant. She knew she was pregnant, and so she decided to turn that small thing into something big for the sake of her pride. So that's not my issue, it's not my problem. So for those of you at the beginning of the video that were like judging me and being like, oh my god, I can't believe you fought a pregnant girl, we were 13. I had no clue. She didn't tell me. She didn't tell anybody. Nobody knew. She just disappeared off the face of the earth. So that is my story time for this week, you guys. I hope you guys enjoyed it. Thank you so much for tuning into this video. Let me know down below what you guys think, and if you guys have ever had any type of situation like this happen to you. And if you like this video, don't forget to hit that thumbs up. It means the world to me. And of course, don't forget to follow me on my social media, my Twitter, Snapchat. I forgot to say Snapchat, girl. I said Snapchat, okay? Facebook, and my Instagram. That's what I'm missing. I am trying to find some time to like get my schedule in order and get organized so that I can start filming more, because I really miss it, and this is like my outlet. This is what I love to do. So that's my story, you guys. I hope you guys enjoyed it. I will see you guys in my next video, and thank you guys so much for watching my videos and sharing them around. I really do appreciate it, and I will see you guys next time. Bye.